Femicide is state murder because the state does not protect us, because it does not defend us. Femicide is not a crime of passion, it is a crime of power. We need widespread sexual and emotional education. We need to teach that love is not possession. These are some of the words that Elena Cecchettin, the sister of Giulia Cecchettin, wrote in a letter to an Italian newspaper in November 2023, after the femicide of her sister. The number of femicides in Italy and in the world is increasing as we speak. Over 100 a year in Italy in recent times, that is to say, 1 every 3 days. But among the dates and numbers in the agenda of this never-ending tragedy, we believe that November 11, 2023 has marked a turning point in Italy, as we will forever remember the death of Giulia Cecchettin. Kidnapped, beaten, and then stabbed to death by her previous partner, Giulia was murdered because she had chosen independence and freedom, pursuing her path to become an engineer, to become anything she would have chosen to be by her own will. With the murder of Giulia Cecchettin, an unprecedented outpouring of grief and anger sparked in Italy, together with renewed energy to foster cultural and social change in a country whose patriarchal roots appear impossible to eradicate. In this video, we will define gender-based violence and the cycle of abuse. Please remember these two definitions as they are extremely relevant to the general understanding of this course. This is a preliminary and necessary requisite if you want to be a part of the cultural and social change when it comes to gender discrimination and patriarchal powers. When it comes to the worldwide phenomenon of violence perpetrated against an individual based on their gender, and here it is the first definition of gender-based violence, it is of the utmost importance to understand the complex dynamics of it, including its causes and consequences, to effectively combat it. Let's repeat it. Gender-based violence refers to any harmful act that is perpetrated against an individual based on their gender. But here we want to be more specific. The United Nations defines in particular violence against women as any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or mental harm or suffering to women, including threats of such acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private life. While both men and women can be victims of violence, women and girls are disproportionately affected by gender-based violence worldwide. As we have pointed out, the concept of gender-based violence encompasses a wide range of behaviors, including physical, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse. Let us all remember that it can be enacted under many different manifestations, from its most widespread form, intimate partner violence, to acts of violence carried out in online spaces. These different forms are not mutually exclusive, and multiple incidences of violence can be happening at once and reinforcing each other. Nowadays, these forms of violence can and will occur both in physical and virtual spaces and within various contexts, in addition to intimate partner relationships, families, communities, and also institutions. Furthermore, we need to acknowledge that while some women are more at risk than others, violence can happen to any woman in any country, regardless of culture, religion, or economic status. Gender-based violence is deeply rooted in systemic power imbalances between women and men, strictly linked to harmful social norms, attitudes, and stereotypes that perpetuate gender inequality. Another key element in understanding gender-based violence is recognizing the cycle of abuse that refers in particular, but not only, to domestic and intimate partner violence. This cycle typically consists of three main phases. the tension building phase, the use of violence or explosion phase, the honeymoon phase. Understanding each phase is crucial for identifying and addressing patterns of abuse. Phase 1. Tension building. The abuser is argumentative and angry, possibly yelling and swearing, using criticism and furious gestures. Sometimes the abuser will use coercion and threats, and minor fights may also occur. The tension between the couple gets worse and worse, and the person being abused often feels like something bad is going to happen. Phase 2 is the use of violence or the explosion. As the tension builds, violence is highly likely to happen. This is why it is called the explosion phase. This is when a major act of violence occurs, including physical and/or sexual attack and threats to harm, as well as verbal abuse. In this phase, injury is likely to happen or the police might be contacted. Phase 3 is the honeymoon period. After the explosion, the abuser feels sorry for the explosion and acts apologetic and loving. The abuser might say things like, "I'll never do it again. I am sorry and I never meant to hurt you. I promise I will change. I promise I'll get help. I only did it because I was drunk, I was high, I lost my temper," and so on. When violence is rooted, the cycles are repeated, and like a spiral, they accelerate and increase in intensity with time. As time passes, the honeymoon phase shortens and the first two phases become more frequent with more serious consequences for the woman. If the cyclical process is not interrupted, the woman's life may be in danger. Do you know someone who is experiencing violence, a survivor of violence, or concerned for their safety? If they are in Italy, they can talk to someone right away by contacting 1522, the Violence and Stalking Dedicated Helpline.